everybody, to the Building Aaronsburg podcast. I'm Thomas Aaronsburg.
And I'm Catherine Aaronsburg.
And today we're going to talk about success and failure.
What defines it?
And I think it's, we were kind of talking about this before we started. We're going to have two completely different definitions.
We don't agree on what success and failure is.
Yeah. Which I think is a good thing, though. I think that those of you listening will walk away from this being like, oh, that's interesting. It's an interesting take. His take is an interesting take. Her take is an interesting take. I think agree.
It's like,
maybe I do.
I think it's like when you realize that someone else does something completely different from you. You know, we've had this discussion on my social media about all kinds of things that what was it? I know one in particular. I don't want to bring it up because it's bathroom stuff, but basically, people do things different from you, and since they're doing them in a private place that you don't ever see, and you're doing them in a private place that no one ever is around to see, you assume that other people do them the same way you do.
All right. And you didn't know there was another way.
Yeah, you didn't know there was another way. And so certainly we have not until today, setting up for this podcast, talked about what our definitions of success and failure are, because we were preparing the podcast and talking about how we wanted to outline it. And, the first step was, well, how do you define success and failure? And then we really went down a rabbit hole with that one because and then we realized, I think that once we defined them, I was able to actually help you define yours a little more, because you argued a little bit about, no, that's not what it means. And then the more we delved in,
it was more of an articulation issue, I think.
Oh, okay.
I know how I define.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, but
putting it into words.
Yeah, because you believed it for so long. Okay, so tell us what your definition of. You want to go with success
actually,
first?
I want to. Let's start with yours, because I think yours is actually the more generic version.
Thanks.
Of what
I guess
success
we'll find
and failure are.
Have you ever talked to anybody else about what they are?
Yeah,
so maybe
it's
not.
You're right.
We don't know.
We don't know.
But you guys know, I will start with mine. But I think, as always, we talk about, what is our purpose here on the podcast? And so much of our purpose, we're realizing more and more all the time, is just getting people's brains to think and be a little more aware, not just of the world around you, but of your own brain and how you feel about things, and being able to either relate to the two of us or not relate to the two of us. And at least if you don't relate, you can go, okay, well, how do I feel about it?
Right. You're having a discussion within your own mind when you hear what our opinions are on things, maybe.
Yeah. Hopefully, ultimately that's what I want to provoke, is just some thoughts in your own brain so that you can make some decisions and actually think through the process of how your brain works and what you think about things. Because I think we're so under the influence of what everybody else around us thinks. Everybody's telling us constantly what they think about things.
Right.
People are constantly, Instagram and social media and media, just reporters and all these people are telling us what they believe. And I don't know that we have enough quiet time to sit around or just have someone ask you general questions or thoughts so that you can define them yourself. And so the more we go around about this podcast, I think that's what I love so much about it, and what people are writing in to tell us that they love so much about it, is that they're getting the ability to sit in their car and drive and are listening to us talk about this stuff and going, I completely agree. I completely disagree. Well, wait a minute. If I do disagree, what do I think about it?
Yeah.
And, I don't have a kid right now, but when I do, am I going to do it this way? Or I hate the way that they talked about doing it. So now I need to decide how I think I'm going to do it.
Sure.
Just so that you're thinking about stuff.
And kind of diving further into, you listen to the news and you listen to this person and that person. A lot of times people's opinions are presented like, this is what I think and this is what you should think too.
Yeah.
Especially in the news.
People are telling us what to think.
And you're almost being told what to think about a certain situation. I read the news this morning that Russia and the Ukraine might be going to war. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But as I read through the article, they definitely have a side.
Yeah. And they're trying to tell you
these are the bad guys and these are the good guys.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I just want facts. Like, why? What's going on here? Give me the facts. What are both sides of the argument? But the way the article was written was like, these are the bad guys. Look at what they're doing.
Well, and I think the media, are just at large, social media and all the medias. I'm just naming them as a general blanket. I think that they all are trying to vie for your attention and make you feel like all of them are important, and not just what to think about them, but take them as the most important thing, which of course heightens all of your senses about all kinds of things. So our goal here is to kind of bring things back home, bring them back inward a little bit, get you to thinking about, not that everything should be about you, but I think that we really turn on some like alarms all the time, and we need some thought about what do we think about stuff, and maybe some thought for provoking questions to get us to ask ourselves that stuff instead of reading an article and immediately
Right.
jumping into
Having a
whatever.
side on yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and not even like facts. Anyway, we can get to that later. But okay, so let's define my success and failure. For me, success and failure are opposite of each other, and they have to do with goals met. So to me, a success is when I meet a goal, and when I fail is when a goal that I've made I did not meet.
Right, so let's get some examples.
Well, in business, I designed a line of pillows. If you if you follow me on Instagram, you went through this entire process with me. It was not cute. It was exciting to start with. I spent months and months designing pillows, photographing them. We had a whole photo shoot of them
Mhm.
down in Pensacola. I hired a photographer. I mean, it wasn't tons of money out of my own pocket, but it was
Right.
certainly a ton
A
of
lot of
time
time.
that I was not dedicating to clients and all this different stuff because it was something I wanted to put my heart and soul into because I felt like it was something I wanted to do. It was a huge goal of mine. The goal in the end, which we discussed this before this podcast, like what was my goal for it? My goal was not necessarily to make money. My goal was to get these pillows and groups of pillows out into the world on the internet for sale so that then I could advertise them for sale to my audience. They would be available for me to use on my clients' designs
Mhm.
because the purpose was to fill a hole in the market. And ultimately, they didn't launch. They maybe one or two pillows launched, but that wasn't the
Right.
goal. The goal was to have all these matching sets that took the um, design part of out of it. It's a whole thing. So anyway, goal was not met. And so to me, that was a failure. Of course, I learned things along the way, but I'm going to be learning things along the way all the time.
Sure. No matter what, whether you succeeded or failed, you would
Whether
have
I
learned.
right, the learning is just part of everything.
Right.
Now, if my goal had been for the top tier goal to have been for them to launch all, at once or the way I wanted them to be, and then I had secondary and tertiary goals under that, learning how the process works and all these
Right.
different things,
Making contacts
sure,
in that field.
sure, then that would have been successful. But I never defined those as goals. And yes, I learned those things along the way.
Right.
And I learned what to do and what not to do. And those are great things along the way. But to me, that does not define what made that whole thing a success or failure. So that's that. Certainly, anything else that I've done that I made a goal and succeeded, that's what success is. Succeeding is success.
Right.
And so to me, that's what defines they're opposite of one another, success or failure.
Right.
What's your definition?
So I would agree. Success and failure are opposites of each other.
Okay.
But for me, success, I start by defining success, and I don't know that I define failure.
Yeah, I think you're
I think
right.
I have a I think I have a
There is no
definition
failure in Thomas's
of
mind.
no. It's not that there's not failure. There is failure. It's just when you're not successful is the
No,
definition
the
of
way that you had defined failure when we talked earlier was basically not giving effort, not
right.
giving
So
your
let's
best
start with
effort.
my definition of success.
Okay.
My definition of success is kind of like an internalized thing. It's not concrete, which is funny because I'm a math guy. You would think it'd be like x equals 5, success, or
Yeah.
not. You know,
Yeah, you're Mr. I'm real black and white,
right?
and I'm the
It's
gray
but
person.
here's where I've developed it from. I think it's from all the years I've been coaching. I've been coaching for 20 plus years at this point. I feel like that's where I've developed
Okay, so
this
tell us what it is.
definition. So to me, success comes from it's sort of like the peace of mind, the satisfaction in knowing that you gave your best.
You can put your head on your pillow at night and
Right.
feel like
That was the
not
best.
tortured over it.
And you did help me define that a little further. Because it's not just, oh, you gave your best effort, pat on the back, get your participation trophy. It's not that.
It did feel a little bit like that when you
Yes, I
told
know.
me.
And I felt like I thought you were sort of like,
I did.
what's the word for it?
I wasn't attacking you.
It not attacking it, but kind
Judging?
of like you're putting it in that box. It's in the participation trophy box. And it's not that for
Well, it's
me.
like Rudy. We just watched
Because
Rudy last night. It feels
Right.
like Rudy. Rudy was personally successful.
Right.
Generally, as a football player, he's a failure. Like, he's not great.
Right. But I would not say I would not say he's a failure. I would say he is like the ultimate success. Because
He
again,
is.
success for me, what you help me define is that it's not just that you went out there and attaboy, you gave it your best. Like you put your mind, body, and soul into like your complete mind, body, and soul into it the best you possibly could. Whereas, like our kids have played sports coming up. They don't put their whole mind, body, and soul
Well,
into
they're
it.
little
I know they're
still.
I know.
I feel like the
So
stuff grows with you.
Sure. So yes, I don't know that an 8th grader or an 8-year-old can really be successful or failure or achieve success maybe to the level
I think
that
they.
like someone like I could.
I don't think that's true. They have. Look, our kids have goals to be on the honor roll and things like that.
Right, but to me, right, the way that they would define success is did we win the game today? Did we win?
But you're talking about all
when the game's over.
sports. You're comparing this always to
Okay,
sports.
did I make an A in the class?
Sure.
Right? But
they either made the A or they didn't make the A.
right.
I would not consider it
But
to
would
be.
you say that one of our sons can make an A with his eyes closed and the other one can break his neck trying and make a
Sure.
C?
So you're gonna say
So would you say one is successful and the other's not?
no?
They can both be successful without making the A.
Yes, but if your goal was the A, then you were not successful in
Sure.
making the A.
Absolutely.
But we defined this earlier too. The success is not the person. The success is the goal. Or the
Right.
failure is the goal. So I will
Right.
never
So-
say he is a failure or
Sure.
he
Right.
is a success.
Yes. Right.
Ultimately, he had a goal to make an A, and if he did not reach that goal is a failure. End of story, in my opinion.
Even if they were not physically capable of making that goal.
Well, that comes down to goal making. To me, who are we to make any goals at all?
Right.
I mean, we could move on to that subject too.
So there was the other example I gave is that in 2017, I coached football, and our football team made it to the state championship game, and we got up against this opponent that we could have played them 10 times, we'd lose all 10 times. I mean, they were just vastly superior to us. We actually had no business even being in that game. There were 2 games that we won along the way that we fought nail and tooth to win those games, and we shouldn't have probably won them. We were just played beyond our potential, I feel, in a lot of ways. So when we got to the state championship game, we had no chance. I mean, you watch film like there's no way this is going to turn out the way.
So
we're not walking away with this thing with a win.
Was your goal to get to the state championship?
I would say that before the season started, we probably set a goal. Like we always set, these generic goals that these kids make, and coaches too. We're just as guilty of it. We're gonna go undefeated. We're gonna win the region. We're gonna win the state championship.
They're unrealistic.
Right? Those are goals.
I think that's every
I say
football
they're
team.
Unrealistic. In that same year, about the 3rd or 4th game, we lost our best wide receiver to a torn ACL. And in the 8th game of that year, we lost another receiver because he got kicked out of school.
But God knows you ain't adjusting goals at that point. You're not going back and telling your football players,
like, hey guys,
we're no longer going to try to make it to the
state
championship.
You don't.
I think that ultimately what this all comes down to is what we are talking about today is individual goals. Individuals making goals because you are the person responsible. You are the person held to these, you're holding yourself to these standards and to these goals, and you are personally responsible if they happen or if they don't happen.
Right.
When you start involving 100 people, which is what you're talking about,
right, or even
you
if
can't.
It's 3 people.
No one's got enough. You're all going to blow smoke. Every football team in the state is saying our goal is to be undefeated, to win regional, and to go to state.
Right.
Every team.
And only one team's going to do that.
No one, like 99% of them don't have business, even making those goals, back to what you were saying about one of our kids. Goals being what they are, I think when we make goals for other people, we end up making them more unrealistic than we might make for ourselves.
Right. Sure.
So ultimately, I think what we're talking about today, just between the two of us, individual goals,
specific goals, right?
And how it's fine however you define them. However you define them is, as long as you're following your rules for how you define them, go for it. Do it.
Right.
The problem is when you start pushing off your definitions of goals
Right, but
on
how
other
many times
people.
I think I mean, I'm sure you're guilty of this. How many times do you make a goal and you don't realize how unreasonable the goal is? I'm sure that, our kids, they're not all stellar students,
Oh yeah,
but I'm sure that they set goals out like, "I'm gonna make straight A's," or "I'm gonna make an A in this class," or "I'm gonna"
yeah,
whatever, and you don't realize, like, "No, I'm just not good at math. I don't there's no way I'll make an A." But you don't know that until you get
sure.
into it,
That doesn't make
and so you don't reach the goal.
sure. It's still a failure in my head.
Right, see, I wouldn't see that as a failure. I wouldn't see that as a
Yeah,
failure.
that's where we just disagree on the definition. I'm really curious to know where the audience stands on this. We need to do a poll and see, you know, if then there may be more than this. This might just
Right.
be two ways.
Yeah.
There might be 10 different ways to define failure and success. I don't know. But, probably when it comes to parenting kids and stuff, I don't know that we've really run into this much because again, our kids are little and they don't tell us what their goals are. They don't really
Right.
articulate them, especially like grades and things like
And we
that.
don't really set goals for them either. I
No.
mean, we don't tell them, "Hey, you need to make straight A's," or
No.
you need to make the basketball team."
No, we don't inflict that stuff. I think that that's pretty
Right. It's not
damaging.
fair. I don't think it's fair to them really to do that because again, how can I set a goal for like what you're talking about? How can I
Yeah.
set a goal for somebody else? I don't know
You can't
how
make someone
intrinsically
else care.
motivated they are
Yeah.
to achieve that goal. I
Yeah.
might want them to have straight A's, but if they don't care anything about their grades, they're not going to give their whole mind, body, and spirit into making that
Yeah.
because it's not a goal for them.
Yeah. Every big goal takes a lot of mini goals to get there. And so you have to have that structure of, whatever you're talking about, all those mind, body, and soul stuff. Those are those little goals that go into it. So, like, every night I'm going to be in bed by 7 so I can get up at 4
Right.
a.m. to work out. Or, those are the little goals. The big goal is I'm going to lose 20 pounds and have a six
Sure.
pack. That's my big goal. My
Right.
little goal is I'm going to go to bed early every night. I'm going to
I'm gonna
wake up
wake up and
early in the morning.
get
I'm
get
going
there.
to like those are all little goals along the way to achieve the big goal. And I think many, many, many times we all have big goals and we forget to set the little goals because the little ones are the really like that's the sauce.
They're the ones that matter.
That's the secret sauce
Yeah.
is the mini goals. Because certainly the big goal is the sexy thing. That's like the thing that sounds so good. But then it's like, okay, how am I going to get there? How can I do this bite by
Right.
bite?
Having a six pack is pretty sexy. Waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning,
Right. The
not
little
sexy.
goals are not sexy
Right.
ever. The little goals are the things that no one sees. The big goal is what everybody sees. The little goals are the ones that no one sees and no one's willing to do, and that's why no one meets their goal. That's why goals don't get met. It's
Okay,
the
well
little
let
things.
me throw a curveball at you then. What would you say about? We have not talked about this, so we'll see what her answer is here. If I got up, let's say my goal was to have a six pack,
Mm-hmm.
and I got up every single morning at 5 o'clock, and I ate well, and I was just really busting it in the weight room
Mm-hmm.
for however much time I needed to, doing all the diet things,
Mm-hmm.
and summer rolls around, and I still got my dad bod.
I told you put timestamps on stuff. I guess that's part of a goal. You didn't say that was part of the goal. I want to have a six pack in 3 months or whatever. That might be
Well,
unrealistic.
Sure.
Also, the goal also has to be super specific in what are you willing to do? And I don't mean just work out and whatever. There are ways that you can get that six pack that have to do with
Right, taking supplements,
taking
and
things and,
right,
like really like
roiding
hiring
up.
no, I don't know about roid. I don't know anything about this stuff, but
I don't either.
but like there are ways it can happen.
Right.
There are certainly ways it can happen. How far do you want to go?
Sure.
How bad do you want that six pack?
Right. So, but that's where I feel like my definition of success is like, yeah, I woke up every morning and I gave
Then
everything
that is
I
your
had.
goal. Then that is your goal. Your goal was not to lose a certain amount of weight and get the six pack.
Well,
Your goal,
but maybe it was though, and then summer rolls around, I don't have the six pack because I'm almost
then
40.
you probably feel bad about yourself. Then, do you not?
Uh,
Therefore, you feel like a failure, even though you did all of your mini goals along the way. You didn't meet your goal, and therefore, somewhere in the back of your brain, you feel like you failed somehow, even though you did everything right, which in your brain would define success.
I would agree with that.
You still will feel like a failure
I would
because
agree with that.
you still did everything
Because
right.
I would
and why
say
can't I have a
after
six
walking
pack?
away from that game I just described in 2017, we lost. I think it was like 52-14. I mean, it was a blowout. Maybe we had 21, but we got blown out. And I remember when that game was over, I felt really bad. But like the next day, like I sat and thought about it, like we didn't even belong in that game.
Yeah, you should have been
So I
happy
would
to have
say
been there to start with. Is it the year after you guys won the state
it
championship?
was 2 years after we won it.
2 years after.
So we had made 3 consecutive. This was our third one.
And
Anyway,
part of that plays into it too. You'd already won it once.
right.
You went the next year, and then even the third year, it's that like you expect to be there at that point,
Right.
and you aren't even grateful for it anymore.
Sure.
That's a whole
That
other
was
subject.
right. That
for
was
sure.
definitely a big part of it. Like we made it there, like we deserve to be here because we've been here the last 2 years.
Yeah,
When we didn't have nearly the team that we've had
that's
the
so
previous 2 years.
tough, and you can't. The mindset on that is so hard because in sports, especially, there is a lot of very unrealistic expectations.
Well,
and
like you're
thoughts put
saying,
forth.
it's a team goal. There's 100 players and 15 coaches and God knows how many support staff when you count parents, administrators, everybody
yeah.
else. That
And
if everyone's not pulling their weight,
and it's not even a matter of that stuff all going perfectly. Everyone like executing at their height. Like people
Right.
get hurt.
yeah, like I said, we
People
had an
get
injury and a
injured.
guy kicked out of school. And that's,
Yeah, I mean that's not a matter of. I mean you're depending on a lot of people to pull all the strings perfectly, like you said,
Right.
but you're also depending on kids to stay healthy, which isn't necessarily their fault.
Sure.
Now, things that are their fault are things like don't go to bed on time, they eat terrible, they have stuff going on. That's not their fault necessarily to have stuff going on at home, but there's certainly other factors that play in,
Right.
and you're talking about that 150 times over. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
But the goal for every team is always to win and go all the way to the top every year. Anything less than that is disappointment. You have crying seniors, always.
Yep.
Every year there's crying seniors.
It's true.
And so I think sports is a little different category. And of course, that's in a large part where you're coming from, I think. But I played sports too. And I was an athlete. A lot of my stuff was individual. And so my goals, my pole vaulting goals,
Lots of failure.
so much failure. So much failure. But anyway.
See, but that'd be an interesting thing. Like, yeah, you didn't win any meets. I don't know that you set a goal to win a meet.
No, I didn't.
Maybe your goals are just
Yeah.
to clear a
What-
height.
what-
in a
I'm
meet. I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
there's some. I've heard quotes before that's like something is a goal not made, or something like that, where it's like there's some definite, just like you defined earlier, failing is not failure, or some things like that. You got a
Yeah.
poster on your wall because he's a math teacher, so you have posters of like hanging there with a cat.
You got to keep them
sloth hanging
inspired.
from
I do not do that one. Hang in there.
the cat
No,
hanging
we're
from
not hanging in there. We're getting stuff done. We're moving forward with life. So back to my dad bod example. To me, if I'm putting in the work every day, like you said, I'm working out the best I can, and I'm eating right. Yes, if I don't reach that goal, I'm gonna feel a little bit like a failure because I didn't reach this goal of having my 6-pack. But at the same time, there has to be a lot of self-satisfaction. And again, that's for this own individual person to define.
Yeah.
Like me personally, I work out every morning, but I ate in the last 2 days, I've probably eaten 12 chocolate chip cookies. So I can't.
You're failing, dude.
Yeah, I can't look at myself come June 1st and I still got my dad bod going on and be like, oh,
I tried my
I failed.
hardest.
Yeah, I know I didn't try my hardest.
Well, therefore, in your definition, you failed
Yes.
then.
Yes, yesterday and this morning, as of right now, has been a failure because I've eaten so many dang cookies.
Yeah. By the way, you're the one who purchases the cookies. It's not
I
me.
know.
You go to Costco.
I lead
and buy-
myself into temptation with that thing. I mean, it's
and I cannot deliver you from the evil.
no,
See what I did there?
cannot. I mean, you cannot. There's no helping it. I need to just not. You need to go buy the pizza.
I
probably
don't have the
next time.
Costco card. I would totally go to Costco if I was on the card.
Right.
It's just you. You go to pick up that pizza. You could go right in, pick up the pizza
I
for our
could.
Friday night, and come out and never go
The
into the
cookies
rest of
are
the.
for the kids.
The cookies are in the very back of the store. Like you have
opposite
to work
corner. They're
to get
opposite
to the
corner.
cookies.
Yes.
from the pizza, which not
The extra
pizza's not good.
walking that I did burnt off the 12
Not all
cookies.
12. No, it didn't. Do you plan an off day, a meal day?
I
Like an off,
don't.
not day, meal, a cheat meal?
I don't know.
You should do that.
I know I
See if
should
that
do that,
helps.
but
Have you seen The Rock's Instagram? Have you seen what his cheat day is? It's the most ridiculous.
I see what his regular meals are, and they look ridiculous.
No, I'm so glad he's wealthy enough to afford all the food he eats.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. He eats like an entire party tray of sushi sometimes. And you're like,
But he's also a massive dude. I mean, the amount of calories it would take just for him to operate daily
I know, but
without
how does
completely
your
getting shredded.
stomach gets, I mean, How do you put that much rice in your stomach and not blow up? Like, just come out of your esophagus
He's
because
got
you're
that,
so full.
he's got that Pacific Islander blood like I do, and that
He's also like
helps.
almost 50.
That helps with the rice, I think.
Just the rice. Yeah. He's
We're
also
so
eating
used
these.
to the rice.
He's also eating these giant peanut butter sandwich cookies and stuff. I mean, have you seen that? He eats this giant stack of
Yes.
French toast. I mean, his
Yeah.
cheat days are like our entire
His
family's
cheat day's a
meal.
cheat
I'm
week
sorry, not
for
cheat,
us.
not cheat day, cheat
Cheat
meal,
meal.
not
Yeah.
day. It is equal to what we would order if we went like the entire family to Cracker Barrel or something. He eats it on 4 different plates just in front of him. It's craziness.
Yeah.
For one meal. I don't I don't know how he does it.
Yeah. I don't know either.
Anyway, he's real successful. Maybe possibly running for president, from what I understand.
That would be interesting.
I totally think he would probably win.
I said this a while ago, and I hate to get political on this podcast, but
We're living in the world of
I said
celebrities.
that yes, I said the next presidents are all going to be celebrities.
Well, but now Joe Biden's president. He's not a celebrity.
Right. Well,
You missed
because
one. Oh, because Trump was the alternative.
right.
Well,
I think moving forward from here, we're going to have all celebrities.
yeah.
I
I
don't
think they're talking
I
about
think
the ticket. They've talked about it for a while, and they both denied it. But Oprah and The Rock on a ticket.
Right. Who
They would
who
totally
would not
win.
vote for that?
I know.
You're saying you don't like Oprah and you don't like The Rock? And I guess if they're running against other celebrities, they're
that's
running
when
against
it'd be like-
Ellen.
And a Kardashian. Oh,
And-
Ellen wouldn't win right now. She's having a hard time, I think.
Well, I'm just thinking Oprah's competition or Oprah's successor was Ellen, so
Yeah.
that's where I went with that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think Oprah was like a Dr. Phil. I don't know who filled her spot. I haven't watched daytime TV since I was a kid. It's been a long time. I don't even know who's on daytime TV anymore.
I don't either.
But yeah,
She is. I mean, right?
Ellen, yeah,
Or was,
mhm.
is? I
Yeah,
don't know.
is Dr. Phil, Ellen, Dr. Oz, who
Yep.
Dr. Oz filled in for Alex. Well, he didn't fill in. Alex Trebek died back in January, I think, and they've had people or maybe he died before the New Year, and they had enough episodes to bring them through Christmas and the New
Right.
Year, I think. But anyway, Dr. Oz
They've
is
had
one
a lot of
the-
different people filling in for him.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. They were talking about Ken Jennings doing it. We all want Ken Jennings. Jeopardy. Can you guys just hire Ken Jennings for the love of Pete? We all want Ken Jennings. No one wants Dr. Oz. We don't need any Kareem Abdul-Jabbar business because you know he'll be the next one on there too.
They had Aaron Rodgers or somebody.
Oh,
on there.
did you see that the person totally?
Yes.
Oh man. Oh man. You'll
Yeah.
have to explain that one because I don't understand football well enough. But I read the article and was like, oh, he got burned in the final Jeopardy question.
So in the so Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
Discount double check for those of you who don't watch football.
Yes.
He's also on an
State Farm
insurance commercial.
insurance.
All these football players, Peyton Manning too, and his insurance. Anyway, nationwide.
But in a playoff game this year, they were losing, and it's one of these things that I'm sure the coaches were probably playing some sort of statistic, like statistically, if we do this, we'll have
Yeah.
a decent chance.
Right.
But they were losing. They were like maybe at the 10-yard line. Like they could have gone for a touchdown. If they go for a touchdown, then I think it maybe tied the game, or maybe even they take the lead by a very slim margin. So it's 4th down, and they decide instead of going for the touchdown, let's just kick the field goal. There's enough time that if we kick the field goal and we get a defensive stop, Aaron Rodgers will go down and win the game because
Uh-huh.
he's going to win the game for us.
Uh-huh.
So they kick the field goal. They don't get the ball back. They lose.
Oh.
And so when Aaron Rodgers is on Jeopardy,
He's the
and
host.
for the final Jeopardy question where the people get to write in their answer, I don't even know what the question was.
I
but
don't
he's
either.
like, let's see what your answer is. And the guy wrote as his answer,
Who made that call?
who chose to kick the field goal or something like
He
that.
didn't
or-
answer it either. He was
Yeah,
just
he
like,
just like laughed and shook his head.
that's not the right
because
answer, sir. On to the next one.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if the audience even knew because that audience
They
is always.
laughed. I heard some people laughing.
Do you
but
think it was a
might have been
courtesy laugh?
Well, it could have been a laugh track too. Like, oh, let's put that in there because
None of
no
these-
one got that.
No, none of the nerds in this audience are watching football to
Yeah.
know what the heck happened. I only say that from love because I have family members who have tried out for Jeopardy
They
and
would
they
have
put
got-
you in the audience.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think my sister would have known? Was it the Super Bowl or like the game before the Super Bowl?
No, it was a playoff game.
It was a playoff. Anyway, whatever. Maybe she would know pop culture well enough to know. But anyway, I don't even know why we got onto that subject at all. Oh, that he should not be taking over for Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
Just make Ken Jennings the guy, please. So that's our conversation on success and failure. How would you guys define success and failure? Is it like Thomas? Is it like Catherine? Is it a whole different thing? I want to know.
Yeah, it could be a whole something we didn't even, or maybe a mix of the two.
How's that possible?
I don't know.
So you guys let us know. I'm going to put a poll. We're going to put a poll this week on building Aaronsburg so you guys can weigh in and then write in. We'll do a weigh in, a poll, and then we'll do a write in if you don't agree with either one of those things. So you can write in because I'm interested to hear. If you want to contact us on Instagram, we're at Building Aaronsburg. If you want to email us, we're at buildingaaronsburg@gmail.com. And on Facebook, we're also Building Aaronsburg. Until next time, bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.